What's going on, guys? It is Super here, and I'll bring you guys this video to talk a little bit about the Mortal Kombat X patch that went live last night that pretty much gave buffs, nerfs, changed frame data for pretty much every single character in the cast. Some got hit hard. And as far as hard, I don't mean like nerfs too hard. I don't think anyone got nerfed, to shit. But a lot of people got a bunch of buffs, like Jacqui, Takeda, Reptile. Some of these characters got, like 10 plus lines of, different changes that they made to the character. So in this video, I'm just going to go over a couple that, personally I use and I was looking forward to. So if you guys want to check out like the full patch notes, to check out the changes happened to your character, make sure you guys do so. It's going to be the very first link in the description. There is a lot of good stuff in there, a lot of like the frame data that's actually really important when it comes to how you play Mortal Kombat X. I'm not going to go over, even though they did change a bunch of stuff. I am going to mention this one huge game mechanic change that they actually made, and I'm not going to go into this too much because it's actually pretty hard to explain and it's really complicated. And one thing that NetherRealm did in this patch was they removed the ability to option select, and what that is you input buttons a certain way, and there's many different types of option select. I'm just gonna give you guys like the simplest one to explain. So for example, I'm gonna use Raiden. He has an overhead that is -50 on block, but it leads to insane damage if you actually hit. So the way option select worked is the player inputted the buttons and the special move a certain way. So if your overhead hit, then the special move would not come out. But if your overhead was blocked, a special move would come out to make that overhead safe instead of being -50 on block or something like that. And this worked with a lot of different things: EX reversals, wake ups, throws. This is just the most basic one. And so with NetherRealm taking this away, a lot of players are gonna have to actually commit to the risk instead of making a specific move that's really unsafe safe with an option select. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how that turns out. But now let's get into a couple of things for the actual patch. Number one is Erron Black. He's my favorite character in the game, and Spectre actually got a buff, quote-unquote buff. This is more of a goofy buff because they actually gave him a combo string in the air, which is really fucking fun to do. It is fun to watch in my opinion, but it is not practical at all. Really inconsistent because there's only a couple of strings. There's only actually 2 strings that I found that are actually let you do the flight that leads into the air combo. And in the corner it's really inconsistent. As you guys are seeing here, it actually knocks your opponent down if they're already in the air when you do a teleport, so it doesn't let you even do a down one into a Superman after a teleport if your opponent's in the air, which really sucks. But at least he got something, so I hope you guys had fun watching these spectral combos. Alright, so moving on to the character that everyone wanted to see nerf, including myself. I thought he was way too easy, man. All you had to do was just one string for the whole game and you were gonna win. So this is Bone Shaper Shinnok, and what you guys are seeing here is the forward 4 string, and this is a pretty much the bread and butter vortex that he had, and this is a difference in this string. So whenever you do the final hit that brings your opponent to a standing reset, and then you do the pew pew gun, it actually sends them back, so where the forward 4 is not guaranteed anymore, so your opponent could do anything they want after it. So that is actually a huge change, because before your opponent would be really close and he would be close enough to where your 7-frame forward 4, which is the kick, was guaranteed because your opponent was so close and you were at such a hit advantage that it would just loop again and stuff, unless the person obviously had to block low. But if they block low, you go into the Hell Sparks and then EX Hell Sparks and then do it over again. And you just build meter, and it was just really bad. So I'm glad that they addressed this issue. Shinnok is still amazing because he still has the Hell Sparks that's plus like 12, and 7-frame forward 4 into the Hell Sparks, EX Hell Sparks, still does a lot of chip damage. One other thing that actually got a nerf was this his gun. It's actually -12 on block now. Before it was -4 on block. So you were able to you know, do this and still continue pressure, but now minus 12. If you actually do that in front of your opponent's face like that, you're gonna get full combo punish. So that's definitely a huge change to Bone Shaper Shinnok. Alright, so next up is Sub-Zero. This is a character, a fan favorite that actually got a lot of buffs, especially in Unbreakable, which I'll be, you know, testing and playing around with, you know, later on today, because he's really interesting. But for Cryomancer, he got a lot of buffs, and one really huge buff is this that you guys are seeing here. This string, his grab string, I think it's forward 4 to 1+3. Was his initial combo ender, and it did a lot of damage. They nerfed the damage, but they added the ability to do a special move after this move, so it increases the potential damage that Sub-Zero could do. Like you guys are seeing here, I'm gonna do 52% damage with 2 bars in the corner. I could easily get 48% damage mid-screen anytime that I want with this new buff. And you know, I like it because I like Cryomancer. It's my favorite variation of Sub-Zero. I hate Grandmaster so much, and you know, the fact that they buff Cryomancer makes me really happy. One thing that I do want to say is that you can special cancel his grab string into a regular ice ball. It could only be an EX ice ball, which is definitely fair, because if you were able to do this with a regular ice ball, it would be ridiculous. So I'm glad that they gave Sub-Zero this this buff, I should say. It's really fun. Like his combos, look at this, man. That combo is sexy as fuck. So yeah, Sub-Zero got a huge buff. Alright, next up we have another one of my ninjas. This is my green ninja, Reptile. He actually got a lot of buffs, a lot of changes to his frame data, so definitely check those out in the patch notes. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I will go over this one that is a significant buff to his deceptive variation, which I'm definitely going to be using more often now, because they added the ability to cancel into the EX deceptive EX like invisibility move, and it's really fast now, so where you could continue your combo. So for example, here I'm doing forward 4-1, and that has enough hit advantage so where you could cancel it into the EX invisibility and keep going with the combo. So that's really cool, because you could end your combo and still be invisible, ready for you know, to mix up your opponent. And Reptile has some really dirty high-low games, so I'm really happy about this buff that they gave to Reptile. I'm definitely going to be testing out this deceptive variation a lot more in the next coming days. Alright, so next up is one of my favorite characters in MKX, and one of the most fun characters to play with, Erron Black. And they actually increased, or I should say buffed, his gunslinger variation. The coolest looking variation that he has, because he actually has a hat, was finally buffed, and they actually made his coin shots a lot faster now, so you could actually you know, stand a chance zoning people, which this variation is supposed to be like a zone heavy variation. They also increased the recovery on a lot of his stance shots, like the one where you shoot 2 guns, you know, you spin back. There you go, that's the one. They actually increased the recovery on those, and the upshot is actually a launcher now, so you have the ability to combo into the launcher and continue your combo, which is awesome, man. I'm definitely going to be playing with this variation a lot more. I already loved it before, because it does do a lot of chip. Unfortunately, a lot of the moves that cancel into the stance do have gaps in them, so your opponent could interrupt it. But you know, I love this variation so much, so I'm glad that they gave Gunslinger a buff. Alright guys, so this is going to be the last specific character that I talk about in this patch, which is Jacqui Briggs. She's one of my favorite female characters in the MKX roster, and she got the most buffs out of anyone, and she definitely needed it, because she had a lot of moves, or a lot of strings, that actually wouldn't cancel properly into special moves that were 2-in-1 cancelable. Like for example, this overhead right here before the patch, if your opponent blocked it, you weren't able to do a special move even though you were supposed to. Also her back 3-3, which is the 2 lows, or the low starter I should say. If your opponent blocked it, you weren't able to get out a special move even though you were supposed to. That was addressed in this patch, and with that being addressed, that actually opened up some crazy block pressure with the up rocket, or EX up rocket, for Jacqui, because the EX up rocket on block is extremely positive. So you're able to do the overhead into the up rocket, which jails, and then you could do it again and again and again, sort of like the Kung Lao pressure. I don't think it does as much damage as a Kung Lao EX hat spin pressure, but you know, it definitely adds another layer to fully auto Jacqui. She still suffers from the same problems, which is she has really short low pokes. They did increase the low pokes, you know, in frame data, but they're still, her limbs are really short, you know what I mean? So a lot of characters could outspace her really easily, but I still like the fact that you could do this and the upgrades that they gave to Jacqui. Alright guys, so that's pretty much going to be it as far as specific characters. A couple other notes that I want to talk about is Takeda got a huge buff on all variations, especially Ronin. Predator's damage got scaled properly, or it got nerfed, normalized, whatever you want to call it. You know, it doesn't, his like crazy hunter combo doesn't do 60% anymore like it used to. It actually does like 52, 53, which for 2 bars, like the Sub-Zero combo that I showed you guys in the middle of the video, that was 2 bars, 52%. I think that's fine. If you're gonna waste 2 meters, it better be really high damaging. So you know, I'm glad that they normalized the damage on Predator. Something else is Quan got amazing buffs. If you guys don't know, Quan, his weakness was you couldn't get out of pressure, or you had a hard time getting out of pressure because he doesn't have a good reversal set 4 in Warlock, and he didn't have fast pokes. But now they gave him a 6 frame down 1, which is the fastest in the game, along with the some other characters that have a 6 frame down 1. It's pretty much the fastest that you could get, and they gave him that. They also gave him an overhead, which his sword, his back 2, is an overhead. If you charge it long enough, it actually launches your opponent, which is crazy because now in Summoner you could do his almost unblockable you know, bat into sword, and you could charge a sword, and now it's going to launch the opponent, which is crazy. A lot of people think that Quan Chi's the best character in the game now. We're going to have to wait and see, of course. But there was a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff in this patch. Make sure you guys check it out. But that's going to be it for this really long video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.